Hickok 45 and son here. You're the son, right?
Was there something you haven't been telling me?
I think you are, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right, well, we're here today because we have a big announcement. We want to tell you guys. Not really sure how to, I don't know how to really, we'll just come out and say it. We've been kind of bored with the stuff that we've been doing on YouTube for a while, and we got to do something new and start fresh. And we really want to just kind of change gears a little bit. It may not be the most popular thing, but we want to start doing anti-gun reviews. We feel like there's a lot of guns out there that are just too dangerous to be in public hands. And we want to start pointing some of those features out for you guys so that you can know to stay away from them. And we feel like that'd be an important service to provide to just the people in general.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Do you think we can do 1,500 videos on that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's thousands of guns that people should never have.
We could go back through every single video and pull that gun back out.
Yes,
and then go through the various features it shouldn't have.
Right, which is pretty much all of them. If it still functions as a firearm, it's too dangerous for people to have.
I agree, especially if it's semi-automatic.
Oh, don't even say that around me.
We could also put in some slingshot reviews.
Those are still pretty dangerous.
That's true. That's true. Blowguns.
Yeah. We're still talking anti here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think people should be able to defend themselves with anything. Because if you have the ability to defend yourself, then that invites people to attack you.
Okay.
Why would someone attack someone if they can't defend themselves? That makes no sense.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Where'd you get these ideas?
Where you get any ideas from a lot of reputable sources online.
Oh, I think I know about some of those sources online. Sound like a winner to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. I think I saw someone said I was a gun banner.
You're not?
Well, yeah, actually I am. I'm an undercover gun banner. I hate guns. If you look back through the videos and radio shows and vlogs, it really comes out pretty clearly.
Yeah, I guess I should have known.
You should have known. Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're being kind of funny, but we are kind of funny. We're also kind of strange. We haven't done a vlog for a while, and I still like calling vlogs just because I still call email. I think that's where it comes from. And I know it irritates people.
It's weird that it's incorrect, but it shouldn't be that incorrect.
It just ought to be called that,
Yeah. It's funny, we didn't know, and then now it became kind of a thing. So.
When the word email started being used, I think it was probably after email came into existence.
Right.
It was hyphenated.
That's 99%
sure it was hyphenated, email. And over the years, because I was into it early, I started realizing, I don't know, it wasn't until the 90s maybe, or late 90s, or I thought, this is crazy. Because, I'm a touch typist, I can type 100 words a minute, but once I get into the hyphens and the numbers, that slows me down.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, you know what, I'm tired of finding the hyphen, I think it requires a shift key, right? I don't know, but I'm tired of it. It's such a common word. I don't care what other people do. I'm taking the hyphen out.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say that you started that?
Well, shortly after I created the internet, I changed the word email.
Well, thanks for creating that.
Right. We're being a little bit frivolous, a little bit funny. Sorry, we can't resist because we are going to be gun banners from now on.
That's right.
That's funny, and I think it comes back to. As I discussed in the recent Shooting the Breeze, my horrible support for the NRA to some extent there on some of the early decisions here after the Las Vegas shooting and all the emotion going crazy there and the freight train coming at us and everything. I made a statement on Facebook that a little too quickly, maybe, I don't know if I could have worded it better, that I wasn't willing to die on the sword or fall on the sword for a bumps fire stock and all that kind of thing. And of course, I didn't mean I want to ban the stupid things.
And I think, is there anyone out there that if given the option, would you trade a bump fire stock for your semi-automatic rifles? Or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Of course not. Now, we didn't know that was, of course, the situation.
No, we just knew it was looking really, really bad at the time, but no one was really at a point where we were talking about banning anything or getting rid of anything, and if it comes down to it, absolutely. I stand by my statement. I'm not going to fall on a sword for a bump fire stock because I have no real use for them. even though we've done some videos on them, they're
Right.
interesting.
But of course, we'd never support the ban of them,
Oh, no,
or would
no.
never not fight for them, or just give them up on the off chance that they might that the anti-gunners would not do something, because we know that that's not how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And of
You know,
course,
the NRA, their intention that we believe, and what they've said, is that they were trying to kind of push that off on the ATF, because the ATF already, their wording was not the best, of course.
No.
But what they were trying to say was that the ATF already regulates bump fire stocks.
Right.
Now, just because they're legal to buy over the counter doesn't mean they're not regulated. I mean, there's a letter showing that they are legal. That's how they've been regulated so far, is by being legal. And
they're in charge of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the NRA was hoping that the ATF would, they were sort of being condescending to the anti-gun crowd by saying, like, what, a bump fire stock? It turns a semi-automatic into a fully automatic. Oh, by all means, if that's the case, then let's let the ATF handle that.
Let them take care of that.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they want to look at that really seriously.
Right, and when in reality, the ATF has determined that by legal definition, a bump fire stock does not turn a semi-automatic into functioning like a fully automatic. It doesn't.
Right.
Now, to your ear, it might sound like a full auto, and the rate of fire might be, but that's where, it's easy to get caught up in what something sounds like versus what it's saying, and by legal definition, and that's where it got really confusing. And
and again, I said in the recent Shooting the Breeze, maybe the NRA could have worded that better. They could have just written it more clearly in terms of what they meant. I don't know. They might have intentionally been giving them the benefit of the doubt again. As you know, I am giving them right now at this point. They might have written it ambiguously on purpose. I don't know. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Nobody knows for sure yet.
The biggest problem with all this, regardless of how you feel about, whether the NRA screwed up big time, or they made a good choice, or however you feel about that situation, and however you feel about the NRA, the important thing is that whether you support the NRA or you don't support the NRA, we need to all understand we're still trying to accomplish the same things. We might have a difference in strategy about how to do those kinds of things, but we got to stop fighting with each other and say, like, oh, you're team NRA and I'm team hate the NRA. We can't do that. I mean, okay, fine, if you're going to be on those teams, fine, but do it quietly. There's no sense in arguing about it right now. We have all these bills coming down.
Yeah, and that's the main reason we wanted to do this. I mentioned in the Shooting the Breeze that we would go into a little bit more depth on the bills coming down. That's why I've got my pages and some of this. I'm not going to bore you with a speech here. Oh my God, Hickok's got a speech in his lap.
Right. Well, I know if I was an anti-gunner, I would want this to happen. I would want, oh great, they're fighting over the NRA now. This is what we've always wanted.
Oh yeah. Well, you said it well. We don't need two groups, two teams, the hate NRA group and the love or support NRA group. And oh man.
And those teams are going to exist. People are going to make up their
to.
mind how they feel about those things, but let's not fight over it. We can, just like you can like country and someone else can like heavy metal, and you don't have to fight over it. It's you just have a difference in opinion. You both just want to have a good time. So
kind of a Ford Chevy argument in a lot of ways. And
exactly.
I don't know what kind of argument. I want to talk about some of the. We kind of got off track. That's okay. When we do a vlog, we like to get off track, don't we?
They do.
A little bit. But that's what bothers me the most is this division that we're seeing in the Second Amendment community, and anybody that's feeding that, I just don't have a lot of respect for.
Right.
And I mean, maybe we're all guilty of that at times. I don't know. Nobody's perfect, but certainly not me. Maybe John is. But feeding into that frenzy is just so pathetic. It's so pathetic. We have this innate desire for drama, a lot of us, I guess. Maybe we all have that to some extent. And there's lots of that to be found on the internet.
Well, the internet kind of feeds that. It perpetuates that. And that's, part of what's good about the internet. It's an exciting place. Everyone's together and talking and everything. But it kind of gets out of hand really fast. And this is serious. This is serious. It was a serious thing that happened in Vegas, and the implications of it based on how, unfortunately, the anti-gunners view gun ownership in America are going to take it very seriously. And something just happened with the camera, and I'm going to check on it real quick.
Okay. Make sure our pretty faces are still showing up. Looks like it's working.
Okay,
Yeah, still recording.
the battery's about to die, so we'll be back in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, forget all that stuff we said about technology being maybe not good. Technology is very good.
Yeah, we didn't mean it.
Technology is very good, never causes a problem. Okay,
always works. Yeah,
it might work now. So.
It always works. Yeah, that's better. Good idea.
Yeah.
So we were talking about some things there that made no sense, of course, probably to you. Just kidding. But again, the main reason we wanted to come to you is, again, to let the folks who are not aware of it, and I'm not sure who that would be, but we have a wide audience, and we appreciate all of you.
Did you just call our viewers fat?
A wide range of viewers.
You got to choose words carefully now.
I know. To explain that is, and we see a lot of you out and around, of course, and that's why I have to behave myself these days, you know, and at meet and greets in various places, gun shows, wherever, and that's a beautiful thing, because some of you are old, ugly guys like me. Some of you are middle-aged. A lot of you are female.
Young, ugly guys like me.
Young, ugly guys, and younger. Some a lot younger, right?
Yeah.
Than John, and some little tykes and 5-6 years old. So it's kind of neat. Anyway, we value that, to tell you the truth. So I didn't mean to imply you're fat by saying wide. Okay, a wide range of people. So anyway, we to get serious again for a moment, the bills that are coming up, and somebody, this person is Night Goat 1369. I think he might have sent the earlier list too of all the bills, and of course we know the big ones, the HR 3999. But since the Las Vegas shooting, there have been a whole spate of them that have come out from the House and the Senate. And what I'll do is put, I couldn't find a website that just gave a cool little listing of them, you know, bullet point kind of thing, what they're about. And this is, I was looking around this afternoon, there may be something like that. If pitch in if you know of a spot like that, but if nothing else, what I'll do is list them in the description. Okay, and it's all kinds of good stuff here.
They're throwing everything at us, and basically, you know, it's the oldest strategy in the book. They're throwing just everything they can think of at us, in hopes that we'll, you know, cower down, be like, oh, well, we'll just do this one thing, you know. So they're trying to scare us basically, but we've got to take it all seriously and not let it
right. Because if we don't fight it, if we don't fight it in Congress, and you know, of course, that's where the big dog, the NRA and the GOA and everybody comes into play there. The Second Amendment Foundation. I can't go to Washington and fight it, you know. So anyway, there's things like let's see, the HR 394 ban parts and accessories that increase the rate of fire,
which could be anything, of course.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. Wow, that's a big one, of course. 3962 bans online sales of ammunition. You know, they're trying to get that to where you got to buy it face to face. They got all this stuff. Bill, let's see, 3984, and I checked 5 or 6 or 7 of these. They seemed okay. One of them I wasn't sure about, but you know, let me know if I give you anything that's not exactly correct here. But there's one that repeals the Lawful Protection in Commerce Law that would allow lawsuits against FFLs and manufacturers. And of course, you know how serious that would be.
Right.
If we allow people to sue gun manufacturers, that'd be like being able to sue car manufacturers, you know, because you had an accident in their car.
They'll kill the whole industry one incident at a time. You know?
Yeah, it'd be gone. That'd be the end of firearms manufacturing if that were allowed.
Even, I don't know, this is crazy to me, even Bernie Sanders, as one of the most extreme left candidates that has ever been that close in the running for presidency that I know of, at least.
Yeah.
Even him in a debate with Hillary Clinton went against that and said that would end gun manufacturing in America. Like, even he said that. You know, it's just. I
remember that. Here's something that one that 3998 bans firearms for known or suspected terrorists. Well, okay, obviously we don't want a real terrorist have a firearm, maybe, but suspected terrorists.
It's kind of like we don't want crazy people to have guns either. But how do we know that they're crazy until they do something crazy?
Yeah, it's hard to know. And of course, banning the possession and transfer of large capacity magazines. Possession and transfer. Isn't that a wonderful one? That's I think that's in both houses. The Senate, I think, is 1945, and then that one's popped up in the I don't see it right offhand here, but that one's in the House too. So some of them kind of repeat each other. They're working together, but all the good stuff, you know, at least in their eyes, they're trying to get rid of. It would obviously change our lives, shooters' lives,
dramatically.
Yeah, dramatically. Gun owners' lives, and there's about 100 million of us, you know, in that vicinity, and so and that's a sad thing because there's so many of us. But then again, so many of us don't ever speak out, and we don't do much. Just have their firearm and are glad they have it. And sometimes they get mobilized when these sorts of things come up.
But you have to look. You know, we support the NRA. The NRA supports us. You know, we personally do believe that joining the NRA is a good idea. Even if you don't love everything the NRA does, join the NRA. Be a part of the organization. Be a voice in the organization. And tell them if you don't like something they're doing. But more importantly than any of that, like we were talking about earlier with the division, whatever your way is of supporting the efforts to stop bills like this,
do it.
You know, call a congressman. You know,
we don't care what it is. You know,
join the NRA, join Gun Owners of America, join whoever. You know, to do it all on your own. I mean, whatever you feel like you need to do, just do it. You know, and don't ridicule people or try to bully people for having a different method or strategy.
Bingo. Wow. Yeah. Good idea. Because it's just like the gun banners. When they badmouth people who own guns, are bad-mouthing all of us. And if someone bad-mouths the NRA, whether they're a gun banner, and that's where most of the bashing comes from, the gun banners, but lately too much of it comes from gun owners. You know? Who are all tied up in their religion, their gun group, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and don't label people, you know, like, you know, we're all familiar with the term FUD, right? Someone who, you know, the idea based on Elmer Fudd, someone who has their
hunting. Is that what that's based on? Elmer, my favorite cartoon.
I know, it's sad, right?
Oh, man.
That, you know, the FUD is the guy who has the hunting shotgun or rifle, and he doesn't care about AR-15s, all these kinds of things. Well, while those types of people who truly are that in that category do frustrate us because they don't help us with things like this, but you know, let's not throw that word around like crazy, because if someone does have, you know, FUD leanings, do you think they're going to be less of a FUD if you call them one?
That's right.
No, they're going to feel excluded. You know, and it's important to make people feel included, especially if you don't agree with them. You know,
so, you know, I taught middle school for a lot of years, and you know, you hate to see that kind of social interaction, you know, so much on the internet and in the firearms community, but you do see a lot of it, and we need to get beyond that and kind of band together.
Right, because if you guys are familiar with labeling theory, when you label someone, there's a high probability that even if they aren't necessarily that label that you're giving them, they eventually assume it and become that. You know, so labeling people in the gun world as the FUDs, they might just go, all right, I guess I'm a FUD, you know, and then they won't help us with things like this.
Yeah, that's true. And one reason we wanted to talk to you all about this again, and you know, we have such, again, as I said before, a wide-ranging audience. We have people from all walks of life, and it's just been a very interesting 8 or 10 years, and just meeting so many people.
Unbelievable,
you know, I mean, just so many young people coming in, so many people your age, my age, 40s, just whatever. We see them all the time, and we just, you know, and we don't, the one thing we don't do, I've noticed, well, I've not noticed it, it's by intention, but we don't really try to, with what we've done, and I know you all notice this, we haven't really attempted to build a cult, you know, quote unquote,
right.
You know, where, you know, we have this band of extremely loyal, hopefully you're loyal followers,
we have sort of like an open house kind of philosophy, like, come on in.
We don't care what political party you are,
exactly.
Whether you like the NRA, you're a member, or you're not, or none of that matters. And I have said that, in fact, I should share, I wrote a blog on our website, about 8 months ago or something, that kind of deals with that. and that's been hanging out there a long time. And some of you have read it, and you've mentioned it, but we don't care what gender somebody is, what your persuasion is, what your political persuasion. We want people to take up the shooting sports, and that solves a lot of the problems with these crazy bills right there.
Right.
By having more people involved in the shooting sports,
because it takes it takes time. The guy that goes out and buys his first gun is not necessarily the same guy that cares about that right away the next day.
That's right.
But eventually he will. So it's as important to just introduce people into shooting than it is to take people who already shoot and radicalize them into being pro gun activists. Which is important too. But getting people into shooting is just as important. Looking long term down the road. So.
It makes them be more mindful of being a little bit political, at least.
Right.
Because we stay away from political parties and all that because. John and I don't really belong to, Democrat, Republican. I lean more libertarian, and John probably does too. But we don't, those parties and all those affiliations are there's just more things that divide in a lot of ways.
Right.
And so anyway, we don't try to suck people into our little cult and badmouth other cults. We want a kind of an open situation here where you're just enjoying shooting. And if you bought a gun, say last year or 2 years ago for the first time, and you've accumulated 4 or 5 firearms, got your shotgun now, and a rifle maybe, and you're really enjoying going to the range. And there's a lot of you who would fall into that category. Well, whoa, you haven't been through this yet maybe. Well, wait a minute, I just bought an AR. I took the plunge. They want to ban it? They want to ban the magazines I've got? So it kind of makes you more political once you're a gun owner, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I said it a million times. Regardless of me talking about some of the negative sides to social media and the internet, in line with that, if it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't have this influx. And it's not just YouTube channels. I know us YouTubers love to take all the credit, but it's just the internet in general has exposed what used to be kind of a subculture. I mean, guns were a big deal in America for a long time, but as far as people being really into guns, it's like the true hobby, not just, oh yeah, I got a rifle in the corner. Just really being a hobby. It's always been a subculture, really a true subculture for a long time, forever really, until the internet came around, and then other people was like, hey, that's kind of cool. I want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
And just look how many new gun owners there are just in the past 10, 15 years. As the internet has blown up, so has gun ownership. And we can't, again, with the divisive thing, we can't, the internet has been our biggest asset in helping us fight things like this and get more shooters, at the table. Let's not turn it against ourselves, with using it to fight amongst each other and call each other names and get on our high horses, about like, oh, I'm a true patriot, we've got to all be united and take this stuff seriously, because it's never going to stop. I don't care what president we have in office, how comfortable we feel. This stuff is going to keep happening. There's always going to be people that want to take away our gun rights. It's a constant, never-ending battle, and we just got to grow with the times and continue to get better at it.
It is, and we're not all going to get along. It's that simple. There's going to be people who don't like me or don't like John or the way we do things, or think we say the wrong things, even in this video probably. That's just going to be the way it is. But by and large, people, we just need to kind of work together on this if at all possible. Obviously, we all know some really unreasonable people in our own environment, our own house, our own company we work for, that we meet day to day. Well, those people are on the internet too, and they're always going to be there. You can't help that. It's just a fact of life. But by and large, if we can kind of slow down on the division and name calling with, of people that just don't agree with us, it might help a lot. If you own a gun and you're into firearms, hey, we need you in the fight.
Right. Because most people already have names. You're supposed to get one when you're born.
I've got a lot of them, I think. I forget who I am. One thing I was going to touch on too, I don't think I touched on that in the Shooting the Breeze, but as I say, we stay away from political parties and all that. both personally and in the YouTube videos and everything. I do think part of the issue with the NRA and some of the extreme hate, it's not just kind of hate, it's extreme. It's just bizarre. And then if you are an NRA member, people want to associate you with that. And it's really weird. It's kind of over the top, I've noticed in recent years or months or whatever. But I think because of our current president, who is unpopular with a lot of people, okay? And I'm no lover of him, I'm no hater of him necessarily. He says some goofy things, and so we won't get into that right now. But I know there are a lot of people who just hate him. And one of the things the NRA does, and I guess the other gun rights organizations do also, just not to the extent perhaps, because they can't, but the NRA does have a lot of money. And we 5 million members send them as much as we can. We want them to have a lot of money, the ILA especially, to put into the legislative process, the lobbying process. And so and I'm talking to a lot of the younger people maybe, or people who just hadn't thought about this, is this the way it works? I want the NRA, and I'm a member of the GOA and the Second Amendment, I want those gun rights organizations to support the candidacy of people who are for the Second Amendment. Are going to be friends of gun owners. I want them to do that. That's why I send them money, okay? So what happens is they support the people who are gun friendly, who they think are going to help the gun cause, the gun rights cause. And if it's a Republican, it's a Republican. If it's a Democrat, it's a Democrat. If it's a Libertarian, whoever it is. And the truth of the matter is, of course, as we all know, unless you've been living in a cave, most of the time, not all the time, but I don't know what it is, 70, 80% of the time, but most of the time it ends up being a Republican, as it is with the president. And you saw that the NRA supported and endorsed the current president, Trump. Well, I think that turns off a lot of people,
right?
But it's seen as what are you going to do though?
Yeah, it's seen as the NRA supporting these other issues.
People think of the NRA as a Republican organization because of that,
right?
And that could be offensive to me too, and a lot of people. But I don't know, what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, if John is running for president and he's all gun rights, and he is going to be somebody who's going to veto any gun banning bill, but maybe there's something about him you just can't stand. Well, sorry, I'm going to hold my nose and probably vote for him anyway. I mean, it's just we're faced with that. What do? Do you have an answer to that? I don't know. It's just a point I wanted to make because I think a lot of it comes from the unpopular president that we have right now. I say unpopular. He's not unpopular with everybody, but he's very unpopular with a lot of people. And some of those people own guns. And so they just thought, no way I could support the NRA.
Right.
So I'm not telling you to get beyond it and join. I'm just saying we understand.
Right. And they're also in a very different position because of their size and involvement and entrenchment in politics, which is where some of their negativity, the negativity people have towards them, harbor towards them, comes from. But they're in a very different position. Do we even really know that if some of the other pro-gun organizations that some people love versus the NRA wouldn't be the same if they were in the same situation? It's just a very different ball game. Politics is complicated, and that's why it's good to have organizations that you can support to let them handle it for you.
Oh yeah, if everybody left the NRA and went to the Gun Owners of America tomorrow, then they would be tasked with holding off all these bills as more than anybody, and then we'd be criticizing them and we'd be hating on them. I mean, that's just the nature of being kind of number one, I guess you'd say, whether you're the biggest, whether you're Walmart or whether you're Walgreens or what's another, Apple or whoever. We're gonna hate.
And like I said, join them all. All the ones that you want to. And I'd say, and again, I'm not going to try to tell you guys what to do. You know that we are supported by the NRA, and it's because we support them. You can think whatever you want about that. I don't care. But I will say that I think that if you want to see a change in the NRA, that your best course of action is to join the NRA and make your voice heard. By not being a member of the NRA and complaining, it's your right to complain about it, of course. Obviously it is. But I think that you're going to have a lot less impact in their decision making if you're not a member. That's just the way that I look at it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And also, one other point I like to make about the NRA is I view the NRA in a similar way that I would the government. The government of the United States of America definitely does some things and has some policies that I'm not very happy with. But you don't see me going to Mexico.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a way to go. Yeah, that's so true. And I will say, we've talked about this more than we meant to. I guess the NRA, the main purpose is we want to make sure you're aware of these bills, and we'll post those for you. But some of the criticism I've seen in recent weeks of the NRA, there's a theme. There's the comments and things. There's terminology that's used, and there's a lot of common denominators.
Right. A lot of people just saying the same things over and over.
Just parroting things they heard somewhere.
That's kind of just the internet in general.
Drama blog. You see a lot of that.
Yeah, people see something like that sounds cool. I'm just going to say that a bunch too.
And I'll just say and early on in this, it remains to be seen what happens with all of this and how well the NRA does and everything, and all the gun rights organizations and fighting this off, and us writing our representatives, calling. But I'm almost more resolved now than I've ever been, ironically. I mean, I am. I'm thinking about becoming an endowment member of the NRA just because of so much of the criticism I see. It's very lame. Now, some of it's not. Let me make that point. I have had some people write me really heartfelt, intelligent messages, or I've seen postings. People that you can tell they're genuinely a member, and they may not have understood what the NRA was doing initially with this Las Vegas thing, and maybe we don't.
Right.
We don't know.
That's the thing.
Maybe we don't. But I was really impressed, and they said they're not going to rejoin or whatever. Probably 8 or 10 or 15 like that. Now these people are real. They're sincere, and they're actually members. Or they've really evaluated this situation, or they're thinking about it. But by and large, most of their criticism is kind of brainless, I have to say. That's a little strong, and I'm pretty brainless myself. But it doesn't impress me.
And there's some conspiracy theory stuff too that comes into play with a lot of the people that don't like the NRA, and I'll be honest, to a certain extent, I could be a bit of a conspiracy theorist myself. I won't go into all that today. That'd be a topic.
I'm not really your dad.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing that definitely leveled me out when it comes to conspiracy theories and things like that. Being a part of something, perfect example right here. And this is one of the things that really kind of helped open my mind up a little bit to the way the world works.
I'm afraid to hear this.
Yeah, it should be.
So, root beer, by the way. Okay.
Yeah. And we don't see it as much anymore. I think people have finally figured it out, or maybe not. I don't know. But there was a period there for a long time where people would constantly talk about how, the Glock 45 is paid by Glock. He's in their pocket. He's paid by Glock. Blah blah blah.
Don't tell them that. I've been trying to keep that a secret all this time.
Right. And now here's the thing: if you're one of those people, it's not gonna matter what I tell you, but you're gonna still think that. But I can't. If I could take the inside of my brain, it'd probably terrify you. But I wish I could show it to you, because I know that I'm telling the truth inside of my head, and this is the decision that I made inside my head, so I know that it's true for myself. That got a little crazy.
Say that again.
Yeah, but the thing is, I know for a fact that no money has ever come from Glock. We got some T&E guns from them. We had to pay the shipping, to send them back. I know that no money has ever come from Glock. I've known my dad for a long time. I've known that he's always liked Glocks, like literally before I was born. And you can even go back and watch the old videos and see that.
I was an NRA member too before you.
Well, yeah, that too. So it's like there's not even the slightest question in my mind about that is complete BS. But people believe it so hardcore, at least it did at the time, and it kind of like really opened my mind to see like, interesting. So being on the inside of something, being able to actually know the truth.
You're sort of a victim of a conspiracy.
Right, so I got to see that firsthand and understand how, often the way things can appear, especially if it's whatever it is, a larger organization or just anything you're not involved in, it's really easy to assume something is a certain way. While if you were actually on the inside of that organization, you would go, you would get it. So That doesn't mean that there aren't conspiracies, there aren't things, being hidden, there are things going on, but understanding that, I'm a little bit less likely to just constantly jump to that conclusion all the time, especially with the NRA. And you've got the things people saying they only care about money, they're only doing this for money, and all this kind of stuff. And then just knowing human nature, people are always resentful of those who make money or
always asking for money.
Yeah, want to make money. And then also, is it bad that someone does something for money if it's a good thing? Like if you buy a house, the guy who built it, if he did a good job building that house because you cared about money, is that a bad thing? So I'm kind of hesitant to buy into a lot of that kind of stuff.
Comes with experience is really what you're talking about. You just after you've lived for a while, you see things that, wow, everybody thinks this is that way, and I know it's not. So what about those other crazy ideas? Maybe they're not true, even though I don't have.
And you
personal
still don't
evidence,
know. Yeah, and you still don't know. Just like the story I said, I'm not on the inside of the NRA, even though we do work with them. I'm probably more so maybe than some people, but
I could go into the house right now and pull out some envelopes. As I told you, I'm a member of the GOA, Second Amendment Foundation, Jews for the Preservation of Ownerships, Tennessee Firearm Association, National Muzzleloading, and I think another one or two. And I get so much mail from the GOA and some from the Second Amendment Foundation. I use those envelopes. I don't even open a lot of them. They're asking for money. Been getting a lot of emails from all of them, and not all of them. And I just use them for to-do lists lots of times. I don't even open them. I get all that mail and requests for money. It's the nature of an organization like that. It exists only because we send them money and dues. That's the only way they can do. And I found a site not long ago. I didn't even know. I don't know if one of y'all sent it to me or I just found it, but it was what I was talking about earlier. It was showing how much money the NRA, for example, and there's probably something like that for the GOA and others, I don't know, but it was showing how much they had donated to, probably under the act where the public information has to be public, how much they had given to each senator, congressman, congressperson, whoever, in the last year or 2 years. It just showed down to the dollar. It's a lot of dollars. And there are some people who don't think that lobbying is ethical, and I've heard people say they're not going to be a member of the NRA for that reason.
Right, and it may not be, but while it exists, you can't just not play the game.
How do you fight? How do you fight it? I'm a member of the NRA partly for that reason. I want those people to be supported that are going to be. That's how you get your voice heard.
Right.
In Congress, I can't go up there and kick people around. So we pay people to do that.
That'd be kind of fun, actually.
I know.
Let's do that. Let's go there and just kick them in the shins.
I know. We've talked about all this too much, I guess, but I guess it's such an issue in the media today, the mass media. It's in the gun media, and everybody's talking about it. And I don't know. We're pretty transparent, so we just like to weigh in on all this stupid stuff. We don't know everything,
right?
And like I say, this gun banning business, or this what they're trying to ban, we're going to, of course, be against everything. We don't want anything banned, Now, obviously,
and again, that furthers my point about why I'm skeptical of all these claims people make about big organizations that are not involved in all the stuff people say about us. We go so overboard to be genuine and always honest with you guys. When we get free guns, we always tell you about it. We say, hey, we got this gun for free. We tell you where our guns come from. We tell you everything. And we come to you like this and just be honest and straight with you, and people still will, just make all these wild.
And we've always done that, but a lot a lot of people don't see all the videos.
Oh no,
give them benefit of the doubt on that.
Right.
But we are very transparent, and you pretty much know everything that we get for free or whatever it is, and so beyond that, so we really don't care what people think beyond that.
Right. Yeah.
We make those choices and try to stay true to you all.
And that's been our philosophy from the beginning, is like we do what we can and how we believe in doing it. Mm-hmm. And if people have a problem with that, then they're just going to.
They're going to have a problem because, for example, the help we get, who our supporters are, there's several of those people that help us, and we don't review any of that stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's just one of the things that's one of our principles. We don't take help from anything we review.
Right. Anything that we want to give a fair opinion on, we're not going to have support from that organization or company.
And we just feel like that's the thing to do, and that's what we do. When you think about media and gun media, you know, how many places are there where that's the situation?
Almost never.
You know, on TV especially, or wherever. You know,
right. And I think the reason that people get sucked into not doing it the honest way is because they know that people aren't going to believe them anyways.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It's
or they
like,
can't exist any other way. Just the nature
well,
of what
yeah.
they do.
Well, yeah,
they got to have
right. That's
got to have
true,
Ruger, you know, buying ads and Ruger providing the guns in order to have the show. Or, you know,
right. But I can see people coming to that conclusion, like, well, even if we are honest, no one's going to believe us. They're going to claim that we're in this person's pocket or that person's pocket, so we might as well be, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never believed in that. We just, at the end of the day, we know that we can, you know, be confident in just being who we are, you know, and showing not pretending to be commandos or anything that we are.
Hey, I am a commando, John. Come on.
You know,
you don't know what I'm doing on days you're not out here.
That is true. You don't know what I'm doing on days that I'm not out here.
That's true. You haven't seen my all my bulletproof gear.
Yeah, we're both secretly commandos and we don't know about it. Yeah.
I get all tacked up and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, I guess we haven't done this for a while. So I got so verbose.
Yeah,
right?
we did. Very long-winded.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of nice. It feels good just come out here and just be real and talk to you people out there.
And I just did it the other day.
Yeah. I still don't understand how all of you guys fit inside that little camera. It's just crazy to me.
I don't know. I guess we've exhausted everything. Like I said, we'll post these in the description probably if I'm sure of what it. Here's one that just caught my eye. I love this one. The one that the House Bill, let's see, 4052 would ban possession and transfer of large capacity magazines more than 10 rounds. And you know what it's called? It's the Keep Americans Safe Act. I love that. You know, as a former English teacher, I just love things like that. The way people phrase things.
I mean, how can you go against the Keep Americans Safe Act? I mean, come on, you don't care about American safety?
I know. So anyway, if you haven't figured out now, when John opened up the monologue there about changing the channel into
anti-gun review channel.
Anti-gun review channel. I guess that was
I'm surprised that's not a real thing. You'd think Moms Demand Action. There would be like a Hickok 45 version of Moms Demand Action, and they would like bring out all these guns and be like, all right, this is dangerous, this should be banned. You know,
we probably shouldn't have done that because there might have been a person or two or gullible enough that they're still thinking that.
Yeah,
they're already spreading around the internet.
That's right.
we're changing our channel. Another conspiracy. That's right. We'll have to do another video to discount it.
We just got to do like the Beatles and start like kind of making it like feeding conspiracies and making them up.
That's kind of my reaction. I am more inclined to do that than anything. My mother was a worrier. John can tell you that. His grandmother, and she was always worried about different things and nervous about this and that. And so, I think I got to the point. At some point, I was mean. No, I didn't. I wasn't heartless about it, but. You know, I'm bad about that. If somebody's always worrying about something that really is nothing to worry about, you know, at some point I have a tendency, if I'm not careful, you know, you're right. Yeah, you start feeding. It's really mean. And I would do that with my mom occasionally. She didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do. So we need to start doing that, feeding into it, really.
That's right, we should. Yeah, we got to make up stuff so people think that we're on like some other next level, you know.
That's right. We do a week's worth of videos where we're talking about guns that should be banned, and they have them on the table.
Yeah.
You know, and this piece should be banned on this firearm.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
I think high points should be banned. That's it.
Yeah, really. So again, we're not perfect.
That's what we'll do. We'll trade them. Yeah. We'll trade them. We'll be like, all right, we can have the high points. Just give us back our machine guns.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's
fair, right?
So anyway, we're not perfect, and we talk a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and write a lot. I answer a lot of messages every day, and postings and everything else. And you know, maybe I'm not 100% clear all the time and everything, but I think everybody knows that we are not going to be for banning anything. We, you know, it's. I don't know what we do. Here we go, launch into another. What if all of this got so bad? I don't think it will. We hold it off. But what if it got so bad we had to make a trade? Would you be willing to trade anything, John, in order to keep like standard capacity magazines and AR-15s? I mean, that's a tough question.
It would really depend on what it was. I'm not completely opposed to the concept of, and when I say compromise, I mean a real compromise, not, people. I think there's different people have a different idea of how this word relates to gun laws. Compromise meaning a trade. I give something, I get something. Like for example, I give you high points and I get machine guns. Now.
That'd be a compromise, John.
It'd be a good one. Huh?
You're giving in an inch.
Oh yeah, exactly. I know.
You know the lines. Yeah.
Is a high point really an inch though? It's more like it's more like a half an inch maybe.
Well, what's a 2x4? Isn't it?
Yeah. But there may be one out there that exists that is good. But would it work? Would it be effective? Would it matter? Would it even be an option? I don't know. Yeah. But unfortunately, here's the thing that bothers me about it also is it'd be nice, but see, this is the problem. It's not how they think. The anti-gunners, meaning that's the they in this scenario. We could all sit down on a big round table and we could all be like, okay, what are your concerns? What are our concerns? How do we maybe help you with some of your concerns? While still dealing with some of ours, and we work something out, but that's not how it would work.
I know. They don't want to start from that point. Like, okay, we want to talk about repealing the Hughes Amendment and some things like that, the Firearms Acts, and maybe there is some we'd trade for that. I don't know what it'd be. But, if something was really a trade, no, what they want is they want to continually proposing all these crazy bills one after another.
Right.
And then their idea of our not compromising or not being agreeable and willing to work with them is like if we reject all of them. Well, why would you reject all of them? Out of 20, at least let us have 2, and we'll consider you reasonable. Well, no, you're the one that came up with all this crazy stuff. If I go to my neighbor and say, hey, I got some proposals over here. I want you to move your house, and I don't like where your barn is sitting, and your muffler's too loud on your car, and with about 10 different things I want them to do. Well, are they being unreasonable if they don't want to do any of them?
Yeah, that's not compromise. That's theft. That's what that is. That's theft. That's not a compromise.
Anyway,
that's not how a compromise works.
And of course, we're all just heartbroken about what happened in Las Vegas. Anytime someone does something like this again, as I said in the Shooting the Breeze, the teeth of the Second Amendment is in some of these firearms we have, the AR-15 especially, and with a 30-round magazine or a 40-round magazine. That's where the teeth of the Second Amendment resides,
right.
The way I look at it. And it is horrible when somebody misuses something like that, but it's a trade-off. I'd rather live that way than in some god-awful dictatorship,
right?
Police state.
They're terrible. Mass shootings are terrible, but it's a plane crash.
Sick.
It's a plane crash. Those things happen in society. Most of the people who die from guns do it themselves. It's through suicide. That's where most of the people who die from guns are, and most of the rest of them have to do with the illegal drug trade. However you feel about the drug war, that's the result of a lot of people dying from guns. That's suicide and the whole thing around the drug war. That's like almost all of it.
That's where most people die.
80-90% of it at least.
Most of that's in Chicago.
Well,
I was just kidding. There's
a lot of it in Chicago,
I saw some numbers, a breakdown on that, and it really was. If you take out these 4 or 5 cities,
right?
I mean, it does jump down to
right.
Not nothing, but a very small.
And it's all
number.
because of the, of course, increased demand,
right,
for drugs,
population,
because of the laws. But the mass shootings are seen so differently than this slow build of other things. There are other gun deaths and other reasons for them because it's all one time and it's scary. And it was people at a concert,
Could have been any of us, and it seems so senseless.
And the thing that's tough about the one in Vegas too is what do you do to prevent something like that? Of course, I would argue that you can't prevent everything like that. Again, it's like a plane crash, but still, that's the thing. Even if everybody in that concert was carrying a gun, I mean. Unless you got a rifle and you got zeroed for 500 yards, and even then, I mean, it's just a tough situation, and it's sad, and it's also frustrating. Like a lot of people point out, that all the gun people feel is that when these things happen, you don't get to go, oh, this is really sad. You just go, oh, here comes the gun grabber.
I know you don't have a chance to grieve with these people very long before it pops up, but. yeah, when it happens, someone figures out something new to do. Of course, we react, and there are some things that can be done in situations like that. As far as the police can take action to help mitigate to some extent. You know, maybe at events like that, there's one or two SWAT team members already there with their rifle zeroed in. We know where the buildings are, and you know, I don't know if we can go full-blown Secret Service on all these buildings every time there's any kind of gathering, but it could be slowed down a little bit if there's some sharpshooters, you know, and they can see it within seconds where it's coming from or something, you know. But yeah, that was horrible. So anyway, we may have just set a record for the longest YouTube video ever posted. Definitely won't fit on full authority, will it?
No.
So we'll put some of this in the description.
Wait a minute,
or
is that
links.
why they call it full 30? Because you only get 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
We'll put it in the description and or somewhere, make it available at a link. And just remember, be active. Don't sit back and let other people do it. It's just like joining gun rights organizations. We've spent a lot of time talking about the NRA. Join one of them, all of them, and make your voices heard, okay? Because you want to have you already have a dog in a fight if you've got a firearm, or maybe if you don't, if you really believe in the Second Amendment, you want to buy one down the road, or you might buy one down the road. So act, and if everybody acts, it just makes a huge difference. There's about 100 million gun owners in this country, and you know, it's just important now. So write, call, let your representatives know. And I know if you live in one of those states where it doesn't do much good, do what you can. You need to try to get those people out of office. What you need to do, find some people that, I don't know, can beat them.
Yeah,
you know?
and let's be less divisive in our own community.
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean, and when I say that doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody.
Yeah.
Again, to reiterate that, just chill out, leave people alone about the way they want to do it, and let's just make sure we're all doing our own part, you know, to fight these bills and things.
Yeah, don't agree with John. Don't agree with me. Don't agree with and but just do your own thing. And I guess I've always lived kind of a live and let live philosophy.
Right.
And it always seems so odd to me that people get so bent out of shape about what other people are doing to begin with.
Yeah.
Unless they're encroaching on my rights.
Yeah, exactly.
But
just, you know, as long as you're staying out of my freedom bubble, then
that's right.
I don't care.
So anyway, do what you can, and let's try to keep the Second Amendment community on the same track. There's always going to be, you know, small-minded people around. That's just part of life. But as long as we can minimize that and not fall prey to them, especially if you're a young person, you're just now getting involved in firearms and Second Amendment fights, battles. Try to be aware. There's a lot of sensible places where you can hang out and try to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, we got to shut up, John.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We owe you an apology. Apology.
We had one more topic we were going to get to. We were going to contemplate the nature of the universe. Let's do that real quick.
Let's talk about the walnuts.
Yeah.
In that airplane. Conspiracy, John. Who is it? Who is it? What agency is watching?
I don't know, but it's definitely an inside job. I know that.
I think so. I think he just came from Las Vegas.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think George Bush did it.
We won't get into the conspiracy surrounding that. However, as I sit here today, what is today? Monday? Tuesday? They've been saying on the news that the security guard who was shot, they can't find him anywhere. So it's all so weird out there. I think more information will be revealed that probably will surprise. I don't know. It doesn't matter though. It's this horrific tragedy either way, and we don't want another tragedy to come about through huge, serious restriction of our rights. So jump into the game, and let's all fight together on that. And can we let him go finally?
I guess.
Okay. Life is good.
We'll see ya.